Welcome to Firearms of America. Today I am here in this beautiful Cape Coral, Florida, and my special guest today is Brian Gamble, the founder of Red Pill Roadshow. Brian,
what's up, man?
Thank you very much, brother, for your time. But before we start talking about a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today, we decided to stop by and get some healthy juice, because why not? Dockside Juicery right here. Let's see what we got. I think I know those people over there. David, what's up, brother? If you ever want to get on a healthy living, start by drinking some juices, right? Because why not? Dockside Juicery.
The chain of command, you know. So that's what it was. They totally sacrificial lamb.
I'm gonna do interview. This guy, right here. I'm gonna interview this guy. I like his hat.
Is that a Dockside Juicery? They got a page.
All right, Brian, thank you very much again for your time. I appreciate it. I know your time is definitely valuable. So, as a founder of Red Pill Roadshow, I'm kind of very interested well, first of all, about the name. Great name.
Yeah,
Red
thank
Pill.
you.
I think a lot of people these days need to have a little bit of a red pill.
Yeah,
So, having a show that's definitely good. So, tell us a little bit about how it started and where it is now and where you're going with it.
Sure. So back in September of 2019, we put together an event in Washington, D.C., a free speech event. And my wife was following a movement, the QAnon movement. And, I didn't necessarily, and I don't agree with what their belief systems are, but I know they're Americans, and what they're saying is protected by our First Amendment rights.
Free speech.
So she was telling me about how all these people are being censored, and and mind you, although I don't agree with everything that they're saying, they're the people that told me about Epstein Island. I had never heard about Epstein Island or Lolita Express, and I'm wondering to myself, well, why isn't the news telling me about this? Why am I learning this from some group called QAnon? So in that sense, in the spirit of free speech, I thought, well, they obviously have something to say, and whether or not I agree with it or not, I as an American, not only do they have a right to say it, but I as an American have a right to hear it.
Yes.
See, that's the other side of the First Amendment people don't really think about. So, because if I didn't hear them, I would have never known about Lolita Express, because as we found out, the mainstream media buried the story. So in the spirit of free speech, my wife knew I had a Tea Party background, so we went there and applied for a permit and put together a stage, and she invited a bunch of the Q influencers out there, and we had our first show, and it was pretty much geared around Q. We had some MAGA speakers, but it was they had a big 8-foot Q there. It was in front of the White House, over by the monument. So it was kind of interesting.
Right there, right in front of the whole action.
Yeah, and without sounding like a conspiracy theorist, there was a lot of things that happened at that event during that whole time, being in D.C. and before D.C. that it just made you think. I felt like other people in the government wanted to know more about Q, because in that time, September of 2019, it was still kind of like people weren't really sure what was all about, but they had heard about Q. So really, that's the beginning of it. And if you see the HBO documentary that's now out about QAnon, there's a segment of me in DC setting the stage up. So they were there, they got some shots. This is where I met the guy that did the documentary, Colin. And so that's where it all began. Now, when we went to Trump International that night after the event, Congressman Crenshaw, we had run into him, and he totally heard about the event, asked us how it was going. So Brad Parscale, President Trump's campaign manager, all these people were aware of the event. And now, mind you, I didn't really subscribe to the QAnon belief system, but I was wondering, wow, there are people that at least know about it in high places. So in any event, there was high fives all around that night at Trump International. We got back to the hotel, and I was talking to my wife, and I said, this is really successful, and people are asking for more. And again, not necessarily more Q, but more free speech, more freedom to just get on a stage without being afraid of being silenced or deplatformed, demonetized, because we don't make a dime on our show. And on our shows in general, we're usually out money, but I always say it's the best money I've ever lost. But but it's say, here you go, here's a stage, that's it. Because I served my country, I took my oath seriously, I still take that oath very seriously, and I uphold and protect and defend the Constitution.
Navy.
In the Navy, yeah. So it's never, I never gave up that oath.
Yeah.
So when I see Americans, they're not, despite what the mainstream media says and these Democrats say, these are not people yelling fire in a crowded theater. Obviously that's not protected by the First Amendment. But they're painted as like, and it's funny because I probably know more people in that movement, but I don't believe in the doctrine of the movement, but I know so many people because we've now had these events. But to get back to that, we got home and I said, everybody's asking us, when's the next show? And I said, well, why don't we make it official? We'll brand it. Now, we obviously couldn't do, we thought about the nonprofit, but the problem with that is as soon as they see a Trump flag hanging or, a political a person running for office on our stage, they yank our nonprofit status.
Right.
So we organized as an LLC, but again, we lose money every event. But we can at least write it off a little bit, our losses. So I had to come up with a name and brand it, and I always loved the Matrix, and I thought, there's sometimes life imitates art, and if the Matrix is art, because it's a great movie, there's a lot there. So I thought about the red pill and red pilling, and Red Pill Roadshow just made sense because we're always on the road putting on these events, and so that's what it is. And we had events after that all around the country. I speak at places all around the country, so that's the birth and current state of the Red Pill Roadshow. Our last event was in Fort Myers with General Flynn.
General Flynn, yes. You started talking about the General Flynn, and he spoke at your very last event.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Again, when you do events, you really don't know the reach you have. And I always tell people, I was just a guy, an IT guy. My wife was a nurse, but we really felt compelled to do something. But we never really knew how much attention people were paying to what we were doing. And I went to an event to hear Sidney Powell speak, and she was signing books before her speech. And I to kind of offset our losses, I came up with a novelty gift to sell at our shows called the cue ball, the magic cue ball. So if you've ever heard of a magic 8-ball, you shake it and it gives you answers. I have a cue ball that's all white, but it's called the magic cue ball, and it's what I guess the cue drops are in it. And so it's kind of a novelty item. And I wanted to give General Flynn one, because I know he would appreciate just the concept. And so I gave it. I said, "Hi, Sydney, Brian, Red Pill Roadshow." And I said, "Brian, could you please see if General Flynn, could get this?" And she's like, "Sure." She opened up the lid. Who should I say it's from? I said, "Just say it's from Brian for the Red Pill Roadshow." And when I said that, these two big claws come over my shoulder, and I turned around and I heard a guy say, "Red Pill Roadshow, the Flynn family are huge fans of yours."
Wow!
And then that's when I realized that this has got a lot more reach than we had thought it did. Yeah, because so many people around the country have heard about it. This is where I met the Flynn family and Sydney and got involved with that group. But it's been like that. All the people that I know now in the movement, in the MAGA movement, whether it's MAGA, QAnon, there's a lot of people that follow us just because we have free speech. They have they literally don't even really care about the politics. They love just the fact that it's kind of like
you go out there and
you can just get up, because sometimes there's people up there talking about stuff I have no idea what they're talking about, like aliens and this or that. But you know what? It's kind of like a coast to coast at 2 a.m. You hear people talking. You're like, I'm so fascinated with people's perspective in life. But again, that's what it is. That's what we are, a free speech event. And despite what the media says, I think by now people probably think I am Q. Who knows? But despite what the media says, it's all we are. That's all we ever have been, is a free speech event and a free speech platform for those that have been silenced by the deep state and big tech.
Nice. So, as a roadshow, what are your future plans? Are you planning anything in the near future? You have anything coming out?
Yeah, picking up, I guess, where I was speaking. There were some Hollywood liberals that wanted me to have a Red Pill Roadshow in Hollywood.
Wow.
I don't watch the show The Office, but Rainn Wilson and his people wanted me to have a show in Hollywood. But COVID shut that down. We had a show planned in Las Vegas. That was shut down because of COVID. But we have a lot of them. We were supposed to go to Myrtle Beach to do an event in Myrtle Beach. That was our next one to do before COVID hit.
Right.
So we've had, quite a few shows canceled or delayed because of COVID. So this is why we're now predominantly in Southwest Florida, is because, we live life down here, So, but yeah, in the future, I think what we're planning, we have a show that we're putting together, I think in Fort Lauderdale. We've just got it. So I have a Rolodex of speakers. I just got to go and see who's available on what day. Usually how I put it together. And then once I've got a good lineup, we just start, doing the logistics and figuring out where we're doing it, how it's going to work, and just kind of go into show promotion mode,
Nice. Yeah, sounds good. Excited for that one. So a little bit away from the show and a little bit of a personal question. How does it feel to, having all of these connections with, some really powerful people in some very high places?
Yeah. I would say, it's obviously an honor and a privilege to be able to be, because it's like you're one layer closer to the truth about what's really going on in terms of like maybe what President Trump's planning. Or what this group's planning, or what they're doing.
Sources in between.
And the less you have, the more truth you're getting closer to the truth.
Yep.
So, God love my QAnon fans. Sometimes I just sit there and I laugh because I know what's going on in the back end, and they'll say something, and I'm thinking, no, not so much. But it really is nice. But with that comes a lot of baggage. I haven't disclosed this to anybody, but, I was just terminated Tuesday from my career, my job of 13 years. So, the FBI contacted my employer. And what do? They contact your employer and say, although he's not under investigation or being charged with anything yet, and they like to throw, we just want to let you know, be aware of this person's extracurricular activities, which technically is code for saying he hangs out with General Flynn. General Flynn is the most, crucified, non-politician in politics, in our government kind of thing. So when you have ties to people like General Flynn, in terms of ties meaning I'm friends with the guy, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, how's it going? Or primarily through his brothers. I talk to his brothers a lot. It's just amazing what they put that family through. But yeah, when you get closer to the truth, which is light, right? You're revealing it. You start feeling the heat, and so that's the flip side to knowing these influential people and these people in these places is the deep state. They like to focus on you and say, well, what are you doing? What are Red Pill Roadshow? And now that the HBO documentary's been out, we've been on 60 Minutes, covered our show in Jacksonville. You name the media organization, Media Matters, Daily Beast. All of George Soros's organizations.
How just would you say their coverage is of your?
I never censor. I don't even censor the media because I don't believe that. I believe if you jump in front of a camera and you say something, that's on you. And when I invite the media to come to our shows, one thing that they love to do is they'll go to 100 people. 99 people will give the great answers, will be very, very, calculating what they say, very specific, and they call them out on their bullcrap, but they'll pick the one person that's got the zangy attitude or the zangy ideas, and they make that person like, that's who's attending these shows. Not the 99 professionals made up of, we have doctors, lawyers, nurses, law enforcement, military. We've had every race, creed, sexual orientation on our stage. They do not, we literally had our show in Jacksonville, a reverse racist in the media saying one of the guys that was on our stage, who was black, didn't sound black.
Wow.
Literally said that. And I showed him that, and he's like, are you kidding me? So, but it's just the media's thing. They like to portray us as like the bad people, the evil people, and they try to say, well, you're giving them a platform, so you're just as evil. And that's the way they come at us. And here I am thinking along the lines of, well, technically speaking, I'm like, I don't know, Maury Povich, or I'm just like Geraldo Rivera, Jerry Springer. Like, I don't necessarily believe everything that's on my stage, but I do believe they have a right to say it. But since it's such a hot topic, you know, the QAnon movement and stuff like that, you know, they kind of locked me into that. And it's unfortunate because if they knew the truth, or if they even took a minute out of their day to research, they would know that, you know, it's just a free speech thing. But let's face it, they don't like free speech.
They don't. No.
And they don't like us speaking about what we want to speak about. So I'm not surprised that that's the way they act and what they do. But I think you know, we had the event with General Flynn and USA Today. There's a guy there trying to get on our, you know, to come to our show to get an interview with General Flynn. You know, it's a career changer for these goofballs.
Yeah.
Oh, an exclusive with General Flynn, you know. And originally the co-host, Michael, was like, no, we're not interested, because I, you know, said, no, media, no, not with the general. But then I kind of had to change our heart. I was like, no, let's get him back. Let's see if we'll get on a Zoom call. And, you know, I proceeded to make him look like an idiot, because they're idiots. And so now that's kind of my new thing. If they want interviews with me, they're just going to be made fun of. And then, you know.
And with that, regarding that Zoom interview, you do have the recording.
I have the recording, yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind sharing that recording, I will paste it here in this interview.
Absolutely.
So that people, the viewers, they know what we...
You can go to redpillroadshow.com. Up in the top, there's a tab called Media. And, you know, you can check out the media. I've got that. I got a video I put together kind of... Because in our Jacksonville show, one of the I think it was from the New York Times, said it was like watching a scene out of Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So people don't, you know, people may not know this, but if you watch my video in Fort Myers, I made a video that was themed after Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I deepfaked Charlie to look like Joe Biden. So you know, so it's kind of like I stitch everything together. You know, if they come at me, I throw it right back at them. It's an art form, and I love doing it.
So speaking of coming right back, with your personal situation of what happened to you, I mean, obviously what the FBI did is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, it's stupid, unjustifiable. What is going to be your response? What are you going to do about it? What are your next steps whenever it comes to this?
We've got, I've got, in regards to the local, you know, media, just running us over the coals with our name, you know, when you build your business and you build your brand, it's one thing when they attack you far away. You know, if we have an event in California and they attack you there. But when you have an event in your backyard where your children go to school, where your family lives, where your friends live, where you know, and they run the stories like insinuating that we have ties to white supremacy and we do these things, you know, that's reckless. And it's dangerous.
It's endangering.
It's endangering me. I can't tell you how many times people have called or just left messages saying they're going to like stomp my children's head in when they see them. You know, as a father, that's, you know, but that's what we deal with simply for, you know, being free speech advocates. But having the local media attack us and, you know, insinuate that we have ties to a white supremacist organization, it's just not going to be tolerated, and they're going to learn that we're not going to take it anymore very soon. And, you know, we'll talk about that here shortly in the coming weeks. But you know, I'm sorry, I lost a question because I'm so angry about that. But yeah, I mean, with my situation and my scenario, it's interesting because they come after your job, they come after your name, they come after your reputation, they come after your family. And I would like to think that in a lot of places in this country, they're going to get away with it. But I would also like to, I would like to think that in Southwest Florida, they're not going to get away with this. We are the majority in Southwest Florida. Not only are we the majority in Southwest Florida, we're willing to fight back.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of...
Hold them accountable.
We're going to hold them accountable. And there's a lot of great patriots down here like Alfie Oakes and, you know, others, Brendan with Leslie with the Unbossed Reporting. You got journalists, you know, telling the truth. And, you know, I'm happy to be here. If there's a place in America where you would want to be to fight back, this is it. This is ground zero.
Yes.
And, you know, and we're going to be trying to push a lot of stuff at the state legislature because, honestly, what happens in Florida seems to be the template for the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. It's like empowering the states to have courage to say, look what DeSantis is doing over in Florida. Yeah. We should do the same thing.
Example for the rest of the country.
It should be an example 100%. For the rest of the country. And usually, you know, when you spend time in politics like I have, usually you see places like Texas being the first place to kind of be the trendsetter or, you know, very conservative states. So it's nice to see such
Florida
a great governor,
yes.
but he almost lost. I mean, it was a razor-thin election, and we can't have that. We've got to turn out. We've got to keep this state, because this is like, I hate to say it, but it's like the Alamo. I feel like it's the Alamo, where everybody's coming to, and I don't mind it. I like that everybody's coming down here. Like, Ted Nugent was just here, and Gene's having an event. Project Veritas is coming here May 22nd. So it's like the epicenter, but it's kind of like, we also need to push that back out to the states, and fight back in the other 49. So we got a lot of work to do with the Red Pill Roadshow, helping get the message out, having events where people can get their message out. We'll start having a lot of candidates on our stage that aren't afraid of the whole media labeling us, white supremacists and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I'm excited for President Trump to come out as well and start supporting these candidates.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're ready to rock the Red Pill Roadshow, man.
That would be some great support if President Trump. I said President Trump.
Yeah,
president,
he's our president.
The real president.
Yeah, he's our president. Sorry.
Nice. So, again, a little bit of a personal question. Now that this happened to you, always, bad stuff happens. Challenges, especially whenever you're outspoken, whenever you're doing things.
Yeah.
It's just something to expect. Challenges just happen, and you have to look at everything positively. Do you have something planned? A little bit of a positive thing, a little bit of a switch as a maybe career?
Yeah. So I've got a company that I'm starting. Actually, I'll reveal it when I'm ready, but I've got a company that I'm starting that kind of ties back to my childhood. I was raised in Ohio on a farm. My dad was a Marine, and he served in Vietnam. He stepped on a booby trap, and so when he got back, kind of started farming. And then when his body, because of the war wounds, kind of wore on him, he started doing into PTSD and stuff. He decided he wanted to start raising English bulldogs. So because English bulldogs were the mascot of the Marine Corps,
right?
Bulldogs, so I was living on a bulldog farm, a kennel.
Nice.
And so it ties to that, a lot of people are going to be like scratching their head.
A little preview.
A C-level executive at a Fortune 500, and now he's doing this, but I sleep better at night.
Exactly.
And I got my integrities
thing,
intact.
Yep.
And but I'll come out stronger. I'm a glass is half full kind of guy. I'm going to be going up and meeting with Camp Flynn, I'll say,
nice.
And talking about some projects that we're wanting to work on together, and other people across the state. And the first day that it's 13 years of a career, and it happens with no explanation, and then you find out what happens. It's a letdown. It's almost like you raised something like a child, and then it's just taken from you. And so needless to say, I felt like the Titanic the first day. But then when I started seeing the boats pulling in to help me, to my friends and my connections and my colleagues, it was really, really. I mean, I'm blessed to have the greatest people around me, and that they showed up and said, "How can we help you?" And so I said, "That's great. Here's what I'm planning on doing, working on. As soon as you're ready, we're going to push it across our channels, and when you get these people's endorsement, it goes out. So I'm excited. I'm working. Hopefully, I can reveal it the beginning of June. I'll reveal it with you, and stay tuned.
Can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Definitely excited too. Well, I have to say, Brian, as soon as you reveal it, you got the Firearms of America endorsement for sure.
That's all I need right there. That's all I need right there.
Definitely got that. I appreciate your time today. You want to tell the guys where they can find you, the information about the Red Pill Roadshow, your information if they want to follow?
Yeah, so I'm publishing everything on the Red Pill Roadshow. Now I'm obviously doing some consulting work, so I've got some work to go up to Maine and Ohio and other places. But so if you need any consulting work, I got a consulting tab up there. But everything can be found at the redpillroadshow.com. Future events. Right now, the splash page is James O'Keefe's coming to see the table. And a couple other spots on May 22nd. We'll put our event up in Fort Lauderdale as we put it together up.
James O'Keefe,
Yeah.
Project Veritas.
Project Veritas. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure if you don't know about Project Veritas, you should know Project Veritas.
Check it out. It's good
because
stuff.
you know that group, between that group and Judicial Watch, I mean, that's the journalism that's saving this country.
Yeah.
It's not Fox. It's not, you know, these news organizations that just cater to the rhinos. But you know, this is true journalism, exposing corruption, exposing, you know, the fraud in our country. But yeah, check him out, James O'Keefe, the big CNN story where we just found out in their own words what CNN is up to.
Yep.
But yeah, come meet James O'Keefe May 22nd. You can go to redpillroadshow.com. It'll take you to the link to get your tickets. But yeah, that's where I will distribute information to the masses until they kick me off of that platform. But then I'll just show up somewhere else. But yeah, redpillroadshow.com.
Not gonna stop us.
Can't stop me.
Not so easy.
It's not in my DNA. It's not in my. It's not in your DNA. It's not in my DNA.
Hell no.
So you know.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching. All the links mentioned in the video will be in the description below, so make sure to check them out. Brian, thank you, brother.
God bless. All right.